Hey everyone, it's Chet at the studio. So here we are again with one of my original podcasts. So hope you enjoy this. It's with Mr. Dan Simon on Dan Simon Solutions, and I'll see you soon. Today I have a very special guest. This gentleman is the educator's educator in my mind. He has an extremely vast resume that just blows my mind. And I learned about his background. Here is Mr. Dan Simon. Dan, how are you this afternoon, sir?
Oh, Chet, good to be with you, my friend. Yeah, just coming off of 3 hours of teaching, which is my favorite thing to do still, even in all my educational leadership experience, always made sure that I kept a class. So even in my third retirement, I continue to make sure that I'm teaching. So I love it. I actually have another class online tonight too. So I'm squeezing you in between, and it is a pleasure to talk to you.
I really appreciate that. So you mentioned that you still have the passion, the love on the third retirement. What keeps you going in teaching? What's your motivation that just keeps that fire burning, keeps you wanting to educate and give back to individuals?
It's seeing the light bulb go off. I mean, I especially because math was my field, right? I started my career teaching math, and then even after 25 years in educational leadership, with a class here or there, I always kept the teaching experience aligned to teaching math because it's one of those subjects, right? People just they find hard or they don't enjoy. And I keep a scale in my class from where we start to where we end. And it's always about how confident they are in math and how much they like it. And to see the growth from the moment they step in my classroom to the moment that they sign out. And I don't think I can recall anybody that ever went in the opposite direction. They either were better at it, still didn't like it, or they liked it a lot better, but still weren't any good at it. But no one, and sometimes both, but never a digression. And especially because of the opportunity I have now, I'm doing this for the Correctional Center program through Campbell University, working with offenders in both male and female correctional centers. It's just been a way, way more rewarding experience than I ever imagined. And I love teaching middle school, love teaching high school, love teaching kind of standard college classes, but this one's been, man, it's been something else. And the appreciation that they show for taking the time to answer questions and just go with them at their pace and just be there and help them understand and actually caring about the fact that they understand. It's been life-changing for them, and it's just been really uplifting for me.
A lot of folks been here and said some really well said things. That was definitely one of them. We're at the time of year now. Let's step into high school, right?
Mm.
So graduation's here or around the corner. A lot of younger listeners, if you're out there, which I hope you are, this is decision time. So this is the time where you want to sit back and say, what do I want to do? The
Right.
real world's on the horizon.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
What advice can you give to someone who's at that junction, educational-wise or even life-wise, the crossroads?
You just opened up the proverbial can of worms there, my friend. This is the work that I do now. I've been asked before, when you start your own business, and it's taken me a long time to step away from my comfort zone and establish my own business, but I'm always asked that question about who's your ideal client, right? Who's that person sitting across from you? And it was very recent that someone helped bring this out in me. For me, it's not a demographic per se. It's not someone in particular. It's a mindset. For me, the person that's sitting across from me now is in transition, in some sort of life transition. I work as a Christian life coach, and so a lot of my clients there are people who are primarily males, but I've also worked with females as well, in a place where maybe family is where it needs to be, but not professional. Professional is where it needs to be, not personal. Feeling unfulfilled in a lot of ways, trying to look for what's next. So I have that. I work with the North Carolina Boys Academy, which is essentially like a program for troubled adolescent boys. And I'm working on the transition phase at the end of their time there as they get ready to come back into regular life, embedded with their family again and community again, old friends, old social networks again. So working with transition there, my work with adolescents. And I have been blessed, Chet, I guess I would say it's one of my giftings. I think the Lord gave me a real natural ability to just relate and connect with teenagers. And so my whole career, that's what I've been doing. And so as I've transitioned out of formal educational leadership for about the last decade, I've been working in more private college and career advising. I work with companies, I work with individuals, I work with schools, and I've recently added another component to it because it's so relevant. And this leads me to answering your question. There's also the calling piece, the vocation piece, right? So it's really threefold. And unfortunately, for so many adolescents, which is also somewhat the responsibility of their parents, right? It's college or bust. The only way you're going to get ahead, the only way you're going to make a name for yourself or make a living is through college education. I approach the discussion very differently. I don't start with the assumption that college is the best option for anybody. I start with the assumption that whatever you're called to, wherever your talent is, your passion is, that's where you're meant to be. And let's figure that out first, because I think it's cart before the horse sometimes, right? You think this is what you want to do, so you need this degree to get there. Let's see, what kinds of life experiences might you need before you pursue a formal education in that? Is a formal education even necessary? And that you can think of so many directions you can go where the college education isn't a requirement, right? And that by no means does that mean that a college education is bad. People have their opinions about college education. College is a great experience, but it's not for everyone. So when you're a teenager, especially in my mind, Chet, the earlier the better.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be waiting until 12th grade to be starting to think about this, because now the pressure's on. And you've missed the window of opportunity to explore opportunities that might lead you in a particular direction. An apprenticeship or a summer camp around a particular theme where you say, I really thought I wanted to do this, and I'm glad I did this 6-week program because now I know I want to stay as far away from this as possible, right? We end up in majors, and think about the cost to a parent where a child goes into a program really not sure, not knowing, changed majors a couple times, maybe changed schools a couple times, how expensive that can be, and how, I won't say demoralizing that can be. I just can't figure it out. What if you spent a lot of your high school years really trying to hone in on that and figure that out, figure out what it is you want to do, and then doing life experiences that help affirm that? It puts you in so much of a better place for where you want to be next and gives you a little more confidence that I've tried this, I like this, I'm good at it, so this is what I want to continue to pursue. I think the conversations early on, and I get it that parents are very busy and very involved and they have an opinion about the process, but just like, to me, like so many other aspects of life, a coach is important when you are trying to hone in on a skill or a direction. Summers where you want to have jobs and internships and experiences, the sooner you begin to recognize that there's value in all those experiences, the less regret you have that you get to senior year and say, I wish I had those years back because I would do all those things differently.
The value of education, the value of planning out your time. I probably spent a little bit too much time hanging out and not as much in the books. I just, be honest, got a little lazy. We spoke about navigating the waters. When someone comes to Dan Simon Solutions and says, hey, I have my son or daughter needs this, needs that. What is like your initial process of evaluating the situation? What's the first thing you want to ask or do to set the table?
I know a lot of people out there that do coaching and advising and all that, they have a program, a template, a script that they follow, and it's just do these 6 things and you're all set. I don't do that because it's my success in my career and over 3 decades in educational leadership, in building positive culture with kids and staff and parents, has been about relationship, right? Communicating and building relationships. So before we talk any business, it's getting to know each other. I always start with the same question. Tell me about yourself. And I can almost immediately sense what I have to work with based on their reaction and their response to that question. So for some, tell me about yourself is a rattling off of data, GPA, SAT score, AP exams, it's data. That tells me something about what I'm dealing with. Others, long pause. I don't know how to answer that. How do you want me to answer that? I say, answer it however you want to answer it. Others start telling me about themselves, what they enjoy, what they like to do in their spare time, what motivates them. I always know I've almost immediately clicked with those kids and I tell them what I really liked is when I said, tell me about yourself. You didn't rattle off data. You started to tell me about yourself. And what I like about that is now I can connect with them on some level of who they are. Quite honestly, Chet, another reason why a career coach, a college advisor is a good idea, because often it salvages the relationship between the parent and the child. So when we have that introductory conversation, I'll also ask them to identify what they consider to be 2 or 3 of their strongest characteristics. If they struggle answering that, I'll ask them what they think their teachers would say those characteristics are, what their friends would say they are, what their parents would say they are. I have 6 children that all are all college graduates. They didn't all take the same path. I had 2 that did transfers after the school they initially started in. I had one that went to a military academy. I had another one that went to community college for 2 years and then finished his degree in 4 years, right? And the same standard time, same diploma as everybody else who graduated from there, but saved money for 2 years, matured for 2 years, figured out where he wanted to be. Down here, and this is growing nationwide, but down here, the universities are communicating much more effectively with the community colleges, and they're working at these programs, these 2+2 programs where you can take community college credits in high school, finish your community college degree at little to no cost to you. But the best thing to do is to sit with someone who has been around and done kind of all of them. I've been in public, I've been in private, I've been in charter, I've been in multiple states. I've teach at the college level for 20 plus years.
So where can folks reach you? Where can we reach out to Dan Simon Solutions?
The website is dansimonsolutions.com. It'll show you a lot of what I do that's different. I do speaking, I do consulting, I do coaching, I do leadership training. What I really like about the website is I've been so blessed to have so many people offer to do testimonials. So there's written testimonials, there's video testimonials from former students that I've worked with, written testimonials from colleagues, all different sorts of fields.
That was my interview with Mr. Dan Simon from Dan Simon Solutions. Once again, thank you, Dan, so much for being with me earlier this year and doing that podcast. That is it for today. And with that, I'll see you soon.